Don't count on us at your wedding. We're booked. My dad scribbled it on a sticky note. I ripped it up, then ripped up their €5,200 rent deal, unlinked my account from their utilities, and transferred their car's title into my name, just to donate it. Picture this: your own family, your flesh and blood, RSVP'd to your wedding with a crooked, yellow sticky note that read, "Don't expect us. We're busy." What would you do when your loved ones dismiss you with such casual cruelty? Because for me, that note didn't just break my heart. It ignited a fire I didn't know I had. And I burned everything down. I stared at it, a bright yellow rectangle, stuck crookedly on my fridge, just like a grocery list, with those 8 dismissive words scribbled by my dad. Not a text, not a call, a sticky note. My hands trembled, tearing it once, then again, then into angry, ragged ribbons. In that moment, something inside me snapped. Or maybe something finally clicked. I already knew, deep down, what I had to do. I grabbed the folder containing the $5,200 rent deal I'd negotiated for them, a sweetheart agreement that let them live in a 3-bedroom flat for half its worth. I shredded it right then and there. Then, with a chilling calm, I unlinked my account from their electricity, their water, their gas. Every single utility bill they'd never once said thank you for. Every silent debt they pretended wasn't mine to carry. Next, I took the keys to the 2016 Mazda CX, 5 I'd bought for them 2 years ago, the one registered in my name because their credit was a dumpster fire. I drove it straight to the local shelter, signed over the title, and donated it to a charity that helps single moms get to medical appointments. That very same night, I changed my locks. That should have been the end. But people like them, they don't leave you alone when you finally say enough. They turn you into the villain of the story they wrote, the scapegoat for their failures. And for years, I let them. For years, I wore the role of the silent helper, the loyal fool, the perpetual financial crutch. Until that note. That sticky note turned something off in me. Or maybe it finally turned something on. Maybe it woke up the version of me that still had a spine. And this is the story of what came next. I wasn't always this decisive. I used to answer their calls on the first ring. I'd Venmo my mom $150 for groceries every other week. I'd fill up the gas tank before they even noticed it was low. Covered the Netflix bill, the Spotify family plan, the parking tickets my sister Claire racked up and then lied about. At one point, they owed me over $12,000. I never brought it up. Why would I? I was Oliver, the good son, the dependable one. Oliver always has a handle, they'd say. We don't worry about him. They didn't worry because I did all the worrying for them. It really escalated 2 years ago when Dad lost his job. He called it early retirement, but it was a forced layoff after too many client complaints. Mom, ever the optimist, called it a blessing. Now we get to spend more time together, she chirped. More time, it turned out, meant more bills. More bills meant more texts. Hey, we're a little short this month. Could you maybe cover the heating bill? It's brutal this winter. Or from Claire, your sister had some issues with her card. Can we borrow your backup? It was relentless. The $5,200 rent deal was supposed to keep them afloat, subsidized by a client who owed me a favor. Yet they still wanted more. Claire moved back in, just until she got on her feet. That was 14 months ago. She brought her deadbeat boyfriend, Max, with her. His 2 jobs seemed to be vaping and playing FIFA. They slept in my old room. Feels nostalgic, she'd said. I remember laughing the first time I saw them in my bed, my childhood posters still on the walls. It felt like they'd colonized my ghost. Then, things started disappearing. First, small stuff. A $100 Amazon gift card I'd left on the dining table for Dad's birthday. Then $300 vanished from the joint emergency account I'd set up for them. I asked gently. Dad got pissed. We're not thieves, Oliver. Don't act like your money gives you the right to police us. I dropped it, but I started paying attention. That's when I found the Facebook post. It was Claire, a selfie taken at Germain, the upscale French restaurant she used to call stupid expensive. The caption, "My baby always spoils me, hashtag date night, hashtag realmanpay." And in the blurred background, my mother, laughing, holding a wine glass. My stomach sank. I reverse searched their reservation using a dummy email I'd made for Dad years ago. There it was, dinner for 4 guests for $180, charged to the same credit card I used to pay their rent. I printed the receipt, but I wasn't ready to confront them. Not yet. I wanted to see how deep it went. I let it continue. The next week, Claire asked if I could help with her credit. She claimed an abusive ex opened fake accounts under her name. I nodded sympathetically, then ran a soft check using a contact at a loan firm. No fraud, no fake accounts, just 4 unpaid by now, pay later debts for luxury skincare and concert tickets, all under her name. I didn't confront her, still not yet. Then came the humiliation, the actual worst part. Dad posted a joke video to the family WhatsApp group. It was me walking out of a grocery store with a bag. He zoomed in, added a sticker that said, "Our errand boy." The caption, "Guess who's picking up dinner again? Thanks, wallet." Everyone laughed. Aunt Lydia sent a crying laughing emoji. Uncle Paul wrote, "Glad someone remembers their role in the family." Mom said nothing. Claire, though, "Tell him to grab oat milk, too. I'm out." I didn't respond. I just saved everything. Screenshots, exported threads, uploaded video, archived it all. The final straw landed a week later. A notification. My name had been used to open a new utility account. Same address, their apartment, but I had just unlinked my card. I called the provider. They said it was reopened online, using a saved version of my ID. I checked the browser history on Dad's old iPad the next time I was over. There it was. My email, my password, autofilled. They were stealing from me, digitally, repeatedly, without shame. That's when I truly understood. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as an ATM that said, "I love you," after each withdrawal. The final scene before the explosion. I went over for what I thought would be a quiet dinner. Mom was stirring soup, humming. Dad watched TV. Claire and Max were playing some loud TikTok video. On the counter, an envelope with my name on it. Inside, a single sticky note. "Don't expect us at your wedding. We're busy." No explanation. No context. Just their final, petty swipe. I looked up. Dad didn't flinch. "Thought you'd want it in writing," he said, taking a sip of his beer. Claire just laughed. "We're going to the Algarve that weekend. Priorities, bro." That was it. The moment the switch flipped. I smiled. A cold, quiet smile. I walked out, and I burned every bridge they thought I'd never dare touch. They had no idea what was coming. I'd intercepted the dinner invitation earlier. Mom accidentally sent it to an old group thread she forgot I was still in. A celebration of us, they called it. Us as in everyone but me. It was happening that Saturday at the same ridiculously expensive restaurant where they'd burned through my credit card last time. Private room. Pre-ordered menu. Champagne on arrival. I RSVP'd through a fake name, then booked the adjacent table under my own. Not my first ambush, but it was going to be my last. I brought backup. Claire's ex, Theo. The one she swore cheated on her, assaulted her, ruined her life. He was tall, soft-spoken, nothing like her frantic descriptions. When I reached out to him with screenshots and audio files from her hard drive, her own evidence folders, he didn't even ask why. He just said, "Tell me when and where." We met 30 minutes before dinner. I handed him the printouts, the voice recordings, copies of the messages she'd faked about him. He brought something I didn't expect, a restraining order draft he'd never filed. He'd been scared of her, not the other way around. He tucked the documents into a black folder. Nodded once. "Let's break their twisted game," I told him. The hostess tried to stop us. I just smiled, showed her my ID. My name's on the reservation, next door. I'll be joining family. We walked in together. My mom's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. Claire dropped her phone with a clatter. Dad, he just blinked, like someone had hit him with a power outage to the brain. Oliver, he stammered, standing up too quickly. This is perfect timing. I cut him off, my voice calm, almost detached. Thanks for reserving a seat. I pulled out a chair. Theo sat beside me. I dropped a flash drive onto the table. Let's talk about family, I said. I started with the video, mirrored it to the restaurant's TV screen. Claire's voice, stitched together from her audio folders, the ones she never thought I'd find. In one clip, sharp and clear, if Oliver ever gets married, I hope they leave him at the altar. In another, slightly distorted, but undeniably her, he's not family. He's funding. That's different. My mother gasped. My father slammed his fist on the table, but it didn't stop the playback. Then came the screenshots. Claire's edited texts presented side by side with the originals. One thread, where she pretended I called her a parasite, altered from a conversation where I'd simply said, I hope you're okay. Theo opened his folder. He laid out her plan in full. Photos, notes, a timeline she'd written in her own hand, titled, If he leaves me. Item 1. Leak fake assault accusation. Item 2. Send screenshots to his employer. Item 3. Destroy him with sympathy. My father stood up again. This is disgusting, he snapped. Where did you get this? I looked him dead in the eye. Your old laptop. The one you gave her. She never wiped the drive. He looked at Claire. She was pale. Frozen. I wasn't done. I'd like to introduce another guest, I announced. From the entrance walked in Marta, the landlord whose name was on that $5,200 rent deal. She held a clipboard. She laid out the account history and the forged lease renewal Dad had submitted last month, the one that still used my digital signature. I didn't sign this, I stated, my voice flat. I revoked access weeks ago. Marta nodded. And yet someone printed it, scanned it, and backdated the file to make it look valid. My mom's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. I looked at Dad. You forged my signature on a legal document. You owe us everything, he hissed, his face contorted. We gave you a life. I stood up slowly. No, you gave me debt, silence, and the kind of damage you have to unlearn in therapy. Then I pulled out the final piece, the sticky note. I'd scanned it, enlarged it, printed it on glossy cardstock. Don't expect us at your wedding. We're busy. I held it up like a courtroom exhibit. This is how you RSVP'd. So let me return the favor. I dropped 3 envelopes onto the table. Inside, legal notice of utility disconnection. Car, title, transfer documents. The vehicle now listed under my name. A donation certificate made in their name for a shelter that helps abuse survivors. The room fell utterly silent. Then Theo, calm as a lake, added, she framed me, lied to all of you, and I'm filing a civil suit tomorrow. Claire finally screamed. I hate you, she shrieked at me. Dad lunged. Marta stepped in front of him. You're lucky the lease fraud isn't being reported today, she said, her voice cold. I turned to the staff. Apologies for the scene. We'll be leaving. But before I walked away, I leaned toward my father. Do me a favor, I said quietly. Next time you write a note, don't stick it to my fridge. Stick it to your own mirror. The fallout was immediate. The very night after the dinner, Theo posted his thread. Screenshots, recordings, dates. Everything Claire had done to him, everything she'd planned. Within an hour, it was trending in our city. By morning, it had reached her job. By noon, she didn't have one. That afternoon, I received a single message from her. You turned everything upside down. I didn't reply. I just forwarded it to Theo, who added it to his court folder. Dad went underground. His Facebook disappeared. His LinkedIn went dark, but not before I sent an anonymous tip with documentation to his old employer about the forged lease. Marta followed through, reporting him for digital fraud. The police haven't pressed charges yet, but the investigation is wide open. Meanwhile, the utilities at their apartment disconnected. I waited exactly 72 hours after the confrontation to hit the kill switch. Electricity off, gas off, internet off. The silence must have been deafening. They had two options: find new housing or finally admit who kept the lights on for the last 5 years. They chose option 3, cry on Facebook. My mom's post read, "Family should forgive, not destroy. You don't cut off the people who raised you just because of mistakes." The comments were mixed. Some relatives offered the usual pity. "So sorry you're going through this." Others didn't. One cousin replied, "Didn't you once say Oliver wasn't invited to Christmas because you didn't want to deal with his face?" That comment got 340 likes. Another added, "So forgiveness starts after the free rent ends." Got it. Mom deleted the post within an hour. Too late. I'd already screenshotted the whole thing and added it to my public archive. Yes, I went public. I created a full Google Drive folder. Named it, "This is what family looks like." Inside, video of Dad shouting at Marta in the restaurant. Side-by-side screenshots of Claire's forged messages. The sticky note, center frame. Proof of $27,000 in payments over 3 years. Audio of my dad saying, "You owe us everything." I didn't scream, didn't beg for sympathy. I let the facts bleed out, slowly. Neat. Cold. Undeniable. I posted the link on Reddit, then Twitter, then anonymously submitted it to a local blog called Quiet Cutoffs, a community for people going no contact with toxic families. It blew up. Within days, I was being asked to do podcast interviews. One YouTuber with 700K subscribers called it the most surgical family breakdown I've ever seen. I didn't speak publicly, not once. The story spoke for itself. My phone exploded with calls. Dad left a voicemail that started calm, then spiraled. "You're turning people against us. You've destroyed your own name. No one's going to love a man who turns on his family." That one I saved. Labeled it "Final Threat." Claire sent 3 texts. "You win. Good luck with your perfect little wedding. I'm going to sue you for defamation." She didn't. Why? Because 2 days after her threat, I posted something new. A photo of the donation certificate for the car I took back. Framed, hanging on the wall of a women's shelter in Portland. The caption, "For every time I was told I only existed to serve. Now my name helps people who actually matter." The shelter met me, asked if I wanted to volunteer. I said yes. That same day, I unlinked every account ever associated with my family. Bank cosign? Gone. Phone plan? Cancelled. Apple Family sharing? Removed. Even the old HBO Max login my dad still used? Deactivated mid-episode. I removed every single digital and financial tie to them. And in their place, I built something new. I launched a Substack. In case they ask why I called it Stories of Invisible Children, Silent Scapegoats, and Polite Exit Wounds. Within 2 weeks, 9,000 subscribers, 3 essay features, 1 syndication deal. The second post? The sticky note that started a revolution. I opened it with a single line. They said they were busy on my wedding day, so I got busy making sure they'd never attend anything else again. They never made it to the wedding. Of course, they tried. A week before the date, an envelope appeared in my mail. No return address. But the handwriting was unmistakable, my mother's. Inside, a printed email thread between her and a local pastor she knew from when I was a kid. She was begging him to intervene, to bring her son back to the fold. In her words, he's being brainwashed by internet strangers. He's lost. We just want to see our boy get married. There was no apology. No mention of what they'd done, just this fantasy where I was the one who'd gone off script. The pastor never responded. I framed that letter, hung it in my new home office, next to a plaque that reads, "Busy forever." The wedding was simple. Just 42 guests. No drama. No blood relatives. My wife walked down the aisle in gold, not white, because we decided we weren't going to pretend this was some fairy tale. It was real. It was hard-won. And we dressed like survivors. When we said our vows, I didn't promise to love her forever. I promised to love her loudly, to never go silent the way I did with my family, to never ask her to shrink so I could grow. My best man was Theo, Claire's ex. Yeah, we became actual friends. He ended his speech with this: "Some people are born into families. Others claw their way into one. I'd choose this one any day." The applause felt louder than it should have been. Maybe because it was the first time I truly believed it. I got one final attempt from my father. 3 days after the wedding, a voicemail. "No, hello." "No, congrats." Just him breathing heavily. Then, "You're making a name for yourself now. But don't forget your last name still comes from me." That was it. His version of a threat. As if legacy was a leash. I uploaded it to my Substack. Caption: "When the man who abandoned you still thinks he owns your initials." That post went viral. People started tagging me in photos of torn-up sticky notes. One therapist printed the article and hung it in her office. I realized then I hadn't just survived them. I'd rewritten the ending. I never saw Claire again, but I did get a letter from her lawyer. She wanted the car back, the one I donated. Said it was emotionally distressing to lose something so symbolic. I mailed back one thing, a USB drive. On it, the video of her laughing with Max in my childhood bedroom, saying, "Oliver is basically my walking credit card. It's kind of cute." No reply after that. 6 months later, I opened a new business account. Not a tech startup, not a podcast, a publishing imprint. Name, Sticky Note Press. Tagline: "We print stories the family won't." First book? My own. Titled: "Do not expect us at your wedding. We're busy." The dedication page: "To the version of me who stayed silent. He deserved better." The book hit number 3 on small nonfiction charts. I didn't do a book tour, but I did one interview local radio. When they asked me, "Would you ever reconcile?" I smiled and said, I did reconcile with the truth. They were never my people. I changed my number the next day. No announcement, no text blast, just silence. I stood at the post office, held the old SIM card over the trash and let it fall. No one even knew it was gone. That's when it hit me. They weren't calling anymore. Not because they understood, but because they finally realized I don't respond to ghosts. I live quietly now. New apartment, no shared mailboxes, no shared accounts, no shared pain. My wife and I keep Sunday mornings sacred. We drink strong coffee, sit on the balcony, and sometimes when a sticky note flutters off a neighbor's fridge and lands on ours, we both laugh. Because now, when I see those yellow squares, I don't think of family. I think of fire, and how sometimes it's not enough to cut the cord. You have to burn the script. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand like this with your own family? Or maybe you're still in the thick of it, trying to figure out your next move? Tell me, what would you have done in my place? Let me know in the comments below.